The portrait artist Gottfried Lindauer holds a special place in New Zealand history. He painted hundreds of subjects, many of them noted figures in the colony. But the work that has received most of the attention are his portraits of Māori from the 19th century. These paintings have provided a portal into our past.
Ko Renata Hikurangi Kawipo. Our tūpuna was born in the early part of the 19th century, near Hastings, Ngāti Kahungunu. Tamaki Hikurangi is an important name. Principal chiefs were given names associated with the heavens and the skies. And I think that's quite befitting his lineage and his descent. His name, Kawipo, means return by night. In the early 1820s, Heretaunga was a scene of many battles, fighting amongst ourselves and also invading tribes. Our people were defeated by Ngāpuhi and Ngai Whatuhapiti, and essentially, and for 2 decades were exiled in areas of the Manawatu, Taupo and Kapiti. Our tūpuna was a captive and was taken by Ngāpuhi and Ngai Whatuhapiti, initially back to Mahia, and then from there he was taken to the far north, or to the Bay of Islands, to Waimate. While he was there for several years, he was treated with utmost respect. In all accounts, he was very good at wrestling, and it seems that his fighting spirit continued in the far north. He took on everyone there, and he seems to have defeated everyone. And while in the north, he was given the moko. He sketched his moko, and he also provided explanations about what the patterns meant. He was converted to Christianity, he was baptized, and he was given the name Renata, which means Leonard. In the north there, he learned how to read and write, and in 1843 he accompanied the First Anglican Bishop Augustus Selwyn, along with others, Chaplain William Cotton, and they travelled around the country. And that was significant because it was one of the early accounts of a Māori person writing in the Māori language. So he had, during that the late 1843, early 1844, he had 2 accounts of their trip around New Zealand. He met his relations, they were exiled in Manawatu, and the tangi, the laments, when they saw him, they said, "Don't leave us, stay with us." And he had to go with the missionaries, and he said to them, "Taihua, tāre mo te wā potoa, I'll be back and I'll come and get you." And he did. From that time there, he worked hard in association with other Heretaunga chiefs to bring his people back from exile. In 1869, our tūpuna fought against the Hikurangi at Te Portraiture near Taupo. It was one of those great warring campaigns. Our tūpuna was involved in a fight with a great warrior, and while he was fighting this warrior there, a lady rushed him and pounced on him, gouged his right eye out, Tamaki Hikurangi had the warrior down, he also got this woman down. Our people rushed over and our people wanted to kill her, and my tūpuna said no. And I think as a result there, he had great respect and admiration for that woman because he considered what she had done was only fair. Her tāne had been taking her at that pakanga. He said that he'd take her as his wife. Every day she'd look at the ugliness of his face and what she had done. But I'll take her as my wife. We have two Lindauer images of our tūpuna. One was actually showed him with both eyes, and the other one showed him without one eye. To me, it's something special. And he became one of the senior Māori chiefs of Heretaunga when Tāreha Te Moananui passed away in 1881. And I think just the charisma, I think he's one of those people that if you saw him, you think, whoo, you know, man, e rangatira mananui. Throughout his lifetime, our tūpuna uplifted and worked hard for the welfare of his people. He actively set up the Ōwhaoko Māori Lands Reserve of 60,000 acres. He took an active interest in the Te Aute College. He was the principal donor, and he even urged the administration of Te Aute College to teach academic subjects and not to relegate them just to manual labour. Our tūpuna passed away on the 14th of April 1888. It was one of the largest tangihangas that Hawke's Bay had seen for a long time. Over 6,000 people, Māori and Pākehā, attended the tangihanga. Had a full military funeral. The papers, they likened to Garibaldi, to Napoleon. Our tūpuna is buried in the urupā of our church, the Church of Hini, St. John's. It'd be great to have a nice copy of a Lindauer portrait of our tūpuna so that we can put him up in a position in our meeting house Kawipo in Omahu Marae. He had the strength and resolve to not only bring his people back, but to build a future and a vibrant marae for his people, and I'll never forget that. E te tūpuna, moi mai rā, wēnora, kei roto tunu, e o mātou ngākau, mo ake tonu atu.
In 1904, the painting Ana Rupene in Child was part of an exposition held in St. Louis to highlight works that were being produced in New Zealand. And Ana Rupene in Child painting by Lindauer was awarded the grand prize, and the exposition was held at the Palace.
A version was also exhibited at the 1886, again a huge international exhibition, the Indian Colonial Exhibition in London, at which there were about, if I remember correctly, 15 or 16 Lindauer paintings on show.
It certainly made it a popular painting, and perhaps that is one of the reasons why Lindauer replicated that painting at least 15 times.
Heeni Hirini. The first thing we know about Hini is that as a young woman she lived in and around Thames, most likely at Parawai, with the Ngāti Naunau of Ngāti Maru. there was some confusion as to her name in regards to the fact that she was married to Reupene Pētuki, or she was the wife of Reupene Pētuki. My grandmother told me who she was, and that she was Heeni Hirini, which surprised me because the names we'd been hearing in relation to the painting was Ana Rupene. Ngahi Raka contacted me and said she'd like to talk to me about Ana Rupene, and straight away I told her that her name isn't Ana Rupene, her name is Heeni Hirini. And then she then said, well, that's interesting because we have the original photograph which the painting was taken from, the photograph taken by the Foy's brothers, and on the back of it is the name Heeni Hirini. And I said, well, that is what her name is.
There's a story that goes when the Foy brothers were recording her name on the back of the photograph, that the photographer asked her, "Is this your name?" Her reply was Ana, meaning yes. And it is said that that's how she acquired that name for the portrait. And Lindauer subsequently carried that name forward in his painting. So based on that and the family's request, we agreed to change the title of that painting to the name Heeni Hirini. It does ring of ideas of the Madonna and Child, so it has that relationship to religious painting.
We've come to know that the child is a boy and that he died at a young age, somewhere between 11 years old and 14 years old. We've been told that he had extra toe or extra toes on his feet, and that he had the ability to absorb information, and the old people had instilled in them the whakapapa of our whānau. I see her as the grandparent raising the children, and that is evidenced by the fact that the child she had on her back was not her own child. Hini raised my grandparent, Reupene, Toko Senior, and Mihi Nui. Hini went to court to make an application to secure lands for those children when they grow up so that they had a papakainga. They had land where they could build a home. In doing so, she ensured that we had land for our families. Another significant thing about Hini is that in the land court hearings, Hini gave the main evidence in regards to the Ngāti Māori lands in Manaia. If it weren't for Heeni Hirini, we would have lost more land. At that time, we know she was a friend of Pare Wātana, as they were often seen together in and around the Thames settlement. My first knowledge of Hini was in the late 50s when our mother brought home a new straw broom from the shop, and on that straw broom it had an image of our grandmother, because our mother pointed it out and said, "This is your grandmother." When I travelled overseas, I became aware of images or photos of her that were in shops for sale. I've even seen one in stalls in Singapore and Malaysia.
Māori portraiture began to circulate internationally around the world as postcards or carte de visite. And so then you see Māori imagery infiltrating on a global scale.
I think this is something that really does need to be addressed because it's an ongoing issue. Images of Māori have been used in ways which indicate a lack of understanding or lack of respect of the value these images in their original would have for Māori and particularly family.
Hini in her later years, one story, she was seen as a bit of an eccentric, and she used to be seen walking around the Parako paddock amongst the blackberries wearing a stately white dress. The local children used to come through and raid her fruit trees, and she used to use a long stick or the clothesline prop to prod at them if she caught them up the trees. Well, we're pretty sure that Hini died around the late 1930s, early 1940s, and our grandmother has pointed out where she is buried, and it is in the southwestern enclave of the Church of England at Manaia on the Pūmoko block. Her grave has got no marking. One day we'll erect a memorial to her, and including to those who we know are buried there and who have not got a headstone. For my children's sake, I always tell them, always remember her or think of her as she was in the photo. Her face, style of moko, her name, Heeni Hirini.
The Maori called Papa Renata, which meant the shadow maker. Some of the stories are really quite funny. He was in Wellington and the Maori saw one of Papa's paintings. They did hakas outside and there was loud noise, and as you can guess, and then they steamed up to the second floor where Papa had a studio, and they made so much noise that the owner of the studio says, "We'll have to charge you more, Mr. Lindauer. You're wearing the stairs out." And they were so noisy that Papa would get the painting that he was doing and throw it down the stairs. And then the people would go very, very penitently back and give it to Papa. And there were so many people outside that the policemen reckoned that they needed to have more policemen there to look after the crowds. So it was a fun time.
Paora Tuhaere of Ngāti Whātua Ōrākei, visionary strategist known to unify people. Tuhaere was born in 1825. It was the year of the Battle of Te Ikaranganui, where Hongi Hika came down with muskets and Ngāti Whātua were the losers. They scattered to the Waitakeres and the Mahurangi area and to their kin in the Waikato for refuge. It was a time of change and flux, and people were wandering about the face of the earth, it was said. We know that Tuhaere was being schooled by the missionaries. He was learning to read and write in English, and he was christened and given the name Paul, presumably after the Apostle Paul. He also took the moko over a period of time. By 1846, we know that he had the moko completed. So all of this combines to groom someone quite extraordinary in two worlds, both Māori and Pākehā. Tuhaere was in the company of his uncles Te Kauo and Te Tinana when they would have signed the treaty at Manukau. Te Kauau gave the mantle of leadership to Tuhaere, and by then Tuhaere was 44 years of age and a man of considerable reputation and ability. He was particularly known for his ability to unify people and to mediate. As a result of this, he was asked by Governor Gore Brown to convene the Kohimaramara Conference in 1860, which gave a forum to many tribal leaders to come together. And by that time, they had sensed a great dissonance between what they understood the treaty would provide them and what was actually happening on the ground. And the issues that they were dealing with in those times, the foreshore and seabed, the shellfish beds, are things that the Crown have continually ignored and are still matters that we are fighting today. Tuhaere was a remarkable man. He fought hard for Māori to be involved at the council level, at the government level, at the policy-making level. He could see the way that things were changing for Māori, and particularly for his own people. He'd been through the Ōrākei case, where the court had decided that the Ōrākei block would be forever inalienable, and he had a great plan for cutting up on the Bastion Point area, Takaparafo, acres for European settlement, by which Ngāti Whātua would reap the rents and be able to use the money to further develop projects of their own. And unfortunately it was thwarted when the government took the land for defence purposes. But it was a model to which Ngāti Whātua returned after the Bastion Point protests, where land was administered under the tribal trust and benefits went towards the whole tribal group. What's interesting about Tuhaere's portraits that Lindauer painted is that there are two of them, one in very European clothing and one in very traditional Māori dress. The story that I've been told from a descendant of the firm L.D. Nathan is that Ngāti Whātua assisted this merchant firm to bring their goods from the ship across to the store in Fort Street, and in amongst the merchandise was wonderful cloth from Bond Street, London. And I've been told that this is the cloth that made the clothes, the European clothes, for Tuhaere in one of the portraits. Tuhaere died on the 12th of March 1892 from acute bronchitis, and at his tangi, Tāwhio came and spoke of Tuhaere as one of the last great old men. He was buried at Okahu Bay, only a few steps away from his house there. Tuhaere had considerable interests in land, but left no will, as his great desire was that the land be administered as a tribal trust. I think Lindauer gave us a wonderful gift to see the detail of the man's face and shining character. I think all the people of Auckland, and dare I say it, the nation, are indebted to a man who fought valiantly for equal participation of Māori and Pākehā in this country, and for both views to hold equal validity in the making of this nation.
he mea tautoko.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.